Why are listings overpriced? The value of watching this video, if you're an agent or a lender or a sales manager, is really getting insight as to what happens at the kitchen table. What's going on? Why are these agents taking overpriced listings? Is it all the seller's fault? It's never the seller's fault. Who signs a listing agreement besides the seller? The listing agent does. The broker does. It's incumbent upon the person taking the job to make sure they have a properly priced asset, a home, that is at the right price and the seller is motivated to get this thing done. When I hear people talking about, well, that seller was not motivated, well, you let them hire you. We took a part-time job that didn't pay. We're trying to drive down the cost per unit throughout the series, meaning every listing we take has a 100% chance of selling, and we are looking for shorter days in the market. We don't want to give it away and underprice it and get them 5 offers the day we listed it, because that's probably, we were too low. When agents say to me, I got them 5 offers the day it was listed, that was real market value. No, the house is $300,000 and you got 5 offers the first day. I bet you could have raised the price to 310 grand and still sold it within a couple days. Not 350, but you still could have pushed it a little bit. Anyways, what are the reasons houses don't sell? Again, if you're a lender watching this, give you great insight as to the challenges realtors have at the kitchen table. For example, I knew the price was too high, says the agent, but I was competing against another agent. And this is my geographical farm. This is my area. I want nobody else to come in. So the motivation to get the listing was I was competing and want to make sure nobody else got it. That's why I overpriced it. Secondly, I knew the price was too high, but I didn't want to disappoint the referral source. A friend of yours sent you a listing. The seller wants to ask $700,000. You know this thing is maybe $620,000, and you take that listing, or it's $100,000. You knew it should be $80,000, but it's a good friend who referred it to you, and you didn't want to disappoint him. Many of friendships have broken up based on failure to perform for this type of transaction. You get hired, no chance of selling the property. You take the listing anyway because you don't want to disappoint the referral source. Bad policy. How about this? The agent wasn't equipped. Why did they take an overpriced listing? Because most agencies, the general thing they practice is lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. If you look at the curriculum and the classes that are going on monthly, how often do the lead conversion classes dominate the training, the pricing conversations, the price reduction conversations, what kind of communications do I have with my seller while the house is on the market? So quite often, the agents simply weren't equipped to have week-to-week conversations with their clients or the kitchen table interview. They simply weren't equipped to help somebody overcome their objections. In addition, there's an absence of data where they have the MLS data, but they don't know how to present the MLS data. Or there's not enough data to even convince the listing agent what the price should be. And I've asked agents, how'd you come up with that price? I'm not saying it's high or low. I don't know. It's all I can figure out. So when there's an absence of data, what fills the void at an interview? It tends to be marketing. And we're going to try our best. We're going to use a marketing plan to sell the property. When all along we pretty much knew no marketing plan ever serves the promise on an overpriced listing. So the absence of data, and what we help people a lot with is how do you find data that's convincing to the home seller to persuade them and inform you what are those indicators in the marketplace that you have never used before. Now, we cover that in the video training called Pricing the American Dream. We walk the seller through other indicators besides comps, because we're going to assume when there's an absence of data, we're talking about comps. Or the data is there for comps, but the seller doesn't still believe it. So what's your presentation look like if you had no comps? Right? That's one reason. Again, challenges for agents, absence of data, not knowing how to be persuasive with the other data that's there because they didn't even know what it was. Next, the agent has poor interviewing skills. Prior to being a real estate agent, I was a computer programmer. I interviewed programmers in the St. Louis area as well as in California. And what we had to do is, I didn't have to be a good programmer, I had to be a good interviewer, because it's easy to hire, but it's difficult to fire. And we look at all these lead generation programs, but again, what's not dominated in training often is a lead conversion. How do I perform so well at the kitchen table that I can eliminate my competitor, eliminate any objections the seller is going to have, and that they will go with my terms? So the poor interviewing skills lead to overpriced listings that agents now have to service week to week with really no hope. If you didn't convince them at the kitchen table, it's hard to convince them later when you're no longer in front of them week to week. Another reason properties don't sell is the time spent at the listing interview is dominated by a conversation on marketing. If you actually took a stopwatch when you're at a listing interview next time and find out how much time is spent on the marketing time, the paperwork time, maybe the tour of the property, and how much time is actually spent on the pricing. A lot of times when agents have done this exercise, it's really a small amount, the smallest amount of time sometimes is dedicated to the price. We think we'll take care of it later during the seller servicing time frame. The problem with that is we have less influence once we hit the seller servicing time frame. We want to do that up front when we're face to face with the sellers and we have the greatest influence. The next thing is the model of the company, the real estate company that they're at, says that pricing is not a priority. We kind of talked about this in a prior part of this video. Pricing at the company is not a priority. It's lead generation. And what's emphasized is always that, but not communication skills and how to reduce the price, how to get the price right. Lastly, the seller never stated their opinion about what their price should be. The agent stated their opinion and the seller came to an agreement with it. And when I hear agents after an interview, when I say to them, did you go with your price or the seller's price? Well, the seller never said their price, they simply agreed with my price. It's extremely important that listing agents get the seller to volunteer their price prior to you ever expressing your opinion. And again, we cover this in the Price the American Dream series called the Final 5 Minutes of a Listing Presentation. It's incumbent upon us as the listing agent to get the seller to volunteer their number before we ever state their opinion. And again, why do houses not sell? A lot of agents have said, we just went with the seller's price. I said a price, the seller agreed with it. We should, again, never present our price until the seller has told us what theirs is. So again, those are some of the reasons agents end up taking overpriced listings, which then, of course, become just failed transactions, high cost per unit on time invested, marketing pieces invested with low results. Our goal is to eliminate all of these in your presentation. That way you have 100% of your transactions that sell. All right, thanks for watching.